Hey y'all, we are back and we have another grant. This one, it's a micro grant, but it is for anywhere in the world. It's $500. The application is super easy, but of course, before we do all of the walking through the grant, if you get anything of value, beginning, middle, end of this video, like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm going to briefly talk about the Discord, which is where I put a lot of the grants in between me posting grant videos. And then also in there, I have a lot of international grants and it's categorized. And on top of that, you can cancel at any time. And it supports the channel. So it's a way to help me continue to grow the channel and to grow this YouTube business of mine. But then also you get access to something of value as well. I have a lot of international grants in there. And then also just if like general things are happening that I think would be interesting to share. So let me quickly share the screen because I want to try to get through this grant fairly quickly, if possible. Once you get to the Patreon, you got to go to the Patreon first to get to the Discord. So for example, is organized, you have your general section, and then like in the for-profit section here, I post just grants as I get them. So it's several grants in here for just for-profit businesses that are not on the YouTube channel. Then you have your nonprofits, so individuals that are nonprofit looking for grants. And as I said, then we have state specific and the same thing, like whatever state I get grants and then I throw them in here. You can also make requests and I'll try to see if I have grants in there. And then with the YouTube channel, as soon as I finish a video, I post it here because it takes YouTube a little while to post it under my upload section. All of the videos show live first. And then I think it's like 24 hours that then it appears in the uploads. And then, as I said, I have international grants that I post in here because it's a little bit difficult to put them on YouTube in order to do a specific video, but that's there. And then different documents that you might need if you're looking to apply for a grant, or we have building passive income, Airbnb, drop shipping, things like that. And here we have accelerators and incubators. And here is literally if it's a cohort, typically there's not money attached to it. I posted one for Goldman Sachs recently. And then, like I always tell people, you get access to mentors, to resources, etc. So to me, I would rather be in a cohort, especially if I'm starting off, as opposed to just getting a bunch of money and I don't know what to do with the money. And then in the general section, it's just anything that I might find. And then, of course, we're doing a video tonight. There's a different program that Lyft has started that I put in there. There's a business startup that's in various cities that's in here. Bank of America is doing some things with businesses as well as for commercial spaces as well. So anything that I see, like there was a thing for Black male educators that were doing something to work with them. This was a scholarship for students, a women's summit that has already passed. So just things that I think might be helpful for not just financing your business, but somebody that is starting a business. So these are just resources that are out there that might not hit YouTube or just hit, like, I'm going to say any other social media spaces that I just find, because I like to read in the mornings before I get out of bed. So I see a lot of these things there. So with that, like I said, you can subscribe to this. I'm going to put it in the chat now. So if that is something that you are interested in. And then also I do offer consultations, which I've discussed. The website I'll put in the chat as well, which is longevitybc.com. I have not seen the scammer account anymore. And it's probably because I keep mentioning the fact that there's this email and it's moneytime with Ebony Dion ESQ at Gmail, which is not my Gmail. I don't even use Gmail for business. I have my website that you can reach me at. And then also what I've noticed is I'm getting a lot of bots in the comments. So just be careful if somebody's sending you to Telegram. I don't have Telegram. The only thing I have is Patreon for individuals. So if I'm not, and then there's always something about some doctor that helps somebody get a grant. And if somebody is saying that they'll start off making it sound like I helped them get like a $50,000 grant, Then they'll mention this doctor person that loops you into that. So please just be careful. And if you think, this doesn't sound right, feel free to send me an email. The email is always in the description. You can always email via the website as well, just to make sure that you're not getting scammed, because they out there, and the holidays are coming up too. So it's probably going to be even more scams happening. So you definitely don't want to put yourself in a position to lose money unnecessarily. The grant. Okay. 18 years or older, you get $500. Deadline is October 31st. However, they don't say a time. So I would say the earliest I've ever seen was 4:59 Pacific time, which is still not that early if you're looking at Central or Eastern time. I recommend just doing the grant a day early if you can, because, and also what they're looking for, they are looking for pretty much anything that has a social impact in your community, but it has to be connected to women, girls, or families. And on top of that, you get a year to use the funds. And as the title says, you can be a nonprofit, for-profit, no business, individual, and it can be for project-based items too. The one thing that they want to know is that it has a large impact on the community. So if you're getting the $500, and we talked about an example in a previous video about having the largest impact, and that would be where we discussed the community gardening, where if I train 10 people, so let's say I get the grant for $500, and within that $500, what have I done? Maybe I bought all the seeds, I got whatever I need for the ground. I don't have a green thumb, so I don't know what all they buy, but you got seeds, you got the dirt or whatever. And then I am going to print maybe some manuals on how to start a community garden and how to grow specific plants or fruits, vegetables, etc., that is going to be in this garden. What I would then do with those 10 individuals, because I would have a targeted community, I would then have those 10 people train 10 people, 15 people. So essentially what will happen is by the end of, let's say I do take the whole year or I take 6 months, by the end of this, they've trained maybe 50 people just from me having the resources to train the first 10. They do say that you need to be specific. So you have to say, I'm going to train 10 people. It's going to be in this community. It could be, it does not, and I want to say this, it does not have to say, oh, I'm going to help single moms. That does not have to be what it is. It could be, I want to help low income communities. I want to help food desert communities. I want to just bring community together. So it could be something so simplistic as, I want to have a block party because the community is growing apart. It used to be a close-knit community. We haven't had, a block party, or we don't have any committees. Like I know we had a watch committee when I was growing up in Walnut Park, and we would have block parties all the time. But of course, that required some level of resources, and the community pulled money together in order to do that. And then, like if the police came and blocked off the streets, they didn't charge us for that. But as far as just, buying the chips and coordinating who's going to bring the music. So it does not have to be a large scale. It has to have a large impact. They will not pay for merchandise, marketing, and it was 2 other things. Let me make sure I don't forget it. Stocks and advertising. Well, marketing and I'm not a marketing person, but I thought marketing and advertising is the same thing, but I guess it's not based on this grant. So those are the 4 items that they're not going to pay for. It has to be legal. We talk about this all the time. You can't infringe on anybody else's trademarks, etc. And then also, whatever you submit to them, you are communicating that you are the original owner of it. But then also, they have the right to use that however they want to use it. As far as, let's say you make it to the top 10, but you don't make it to the top 5. And then they want to just, highlight your idea, etc. They're not saying they're going to steal your idea and take it, but what they're saying is if we want to talk about our top 10, or if we want to talk about the grantees, then we can do that. You also need to think about a budget, right? So, as I've always said in all of the videos, if your budget is $5,000, that's okay. You just need to let them know, how do you plan to use the $500? And also, they are going to give you the funds in buckets. And it has to be tied to a deliverable. So if you get the $500, let's say they might give you the first 250 after they see the manual created for this community garden. I know folks are probably thinking, this is a lot to do with $500, right? But I sat and thought about this, and I think this is the best stepping stone for individuals to get their feet wet in managing those larger scale grants. Because when you get with the big dogs and you get $100,000, the things that they are going to request of you and the data that you're going to have to prepare is going to be astronomical. And unfortunately, that's how most individuals, if they lose a grant, it's because they breached some reporting requirement. It's a rarity that someone is losing a grant because they're not performing. You're performing, but you're not able to prove that you are performing under the grant because the data does not speak to it, number one. And you're reporting, they can't understand what's in there. So I honestly feel like if you've never had to manage grant funds before, and this $500, because, and then some grants, they'll give you a lump sum and you do what you will with it, and you could end up wasting half of it, right? But I think with this, and you're going to get a designated mentor. So they're going to hold your hand through the process. So with this, it's like, okay, let me do this as perfect as possible as far as my reporting on $500. So then when I get the $100,000, I'm already going to know, because the reporting doesn't necessarily change as far as what you need to do when reporting to the grantor. What they're going to want to see, the data will change, but the idea of the deliverable and being accountable for the money is going to be the same, because $500, if we're thinking about packs of seeds, which sometimes can be $1, sometimes can be some change, sometimes can be, a super nominal amount. And if you have to literally track, I bought carrot seeds, I bought tomato seeds, I bought this much mulch, I paid 10 cents per page, even though it's a small dollar amount, that's a lot of tracking. So that, like I said, is going to prepare you for the larger grants. Also, I forgot to add, this grant is for women. So if you have a woman in your life, now fellas, you got a wife, you got a business partner, you got a girlfriend, and you are doing some stuff together, do not say, oh, I'm not a woman, because as I've always said, sharing is caring. Just because this does not help you, this can help the next person. And like I said, if the funds are geared towards families, then it's still something where if you know a young lady and you're working with her, you all can do this collectively. Or like I said, if you have a significant other, you might want to tell her about this, because again, anybody can do it. So you don't have to have a business. If you have been sitting home and you've been like, I really wanted to do this, whether it's I wanted to adopt a family, for the holidays, or I want to be able to provide socks, hats, whatever for the homeless. I want to do a pay what you can drive for the homeless. So definitely don't X yourself out because you don't have a business. And you also can use this to start your business or a nonprofit. So if you're trying to get let's say you already got your nonprofit and you're trying to get your tax exempt status, you can use the funds for that, but then you're going to have to tell them what type of impact do you plan to have, because even if you use the $500 to incorporate in the tax exempt status, they're going to still want to see the impact after that. So you're still going to have to report that, once I got this nonprofit going, or once I got this for-profit going, this is the impact that I had on the community. So it cannot stop purely at financial gain for your business. And that is in the terms as well. So think about that. I'm going to share my screen, and then we're going to go through this grant quickly because I think we went through everything. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Again, this is global. So anywhere in the world, if you can get the money, you can apply for this grant. And I know folks ask all the time about global grants. And yeah, I put global in the title to make it that much easier for you to find the global opportunity. So you just got to go through the channel, look for the word global, and this is going to be a grant that is for outside of the US, and obviously Canada works as well, because normally the grants are US and Canada. If it's just the US, and then if they do include outside of the US, it's typically including Canada. This is anywhere in the world, y'all. So please apply for this one. And yeah, that's it. So let's share my screen fairly quickly and go through the grants. So if you just Google Giving Joy grant application, it's going to take you right here. We've already went through all of the terms. And then when you click on apply, it comes right up. So this is just the basics: name, address, email, all that good stuff. If you have a website, so the things with the asterisk, obviously you have to answer that. The other ones, you might not have a website if it's, just for a project, or if you're a startup, or you might have a business and you don't have a website, but that is perfectly okay. First question, they want to know who you are. As I've always said, you gotta speak from the heart, speak from passion. You gotta say, I'm somebody that has always been interested in giving back to my community. I've always been one to volunteer in my community. I've done X, Y, and Z. I'm passionate about X, Y, and Z. It can't just be, hi, I'm Ebony and I'm a lawyer and I've been practicing for 13 years. They don't care about that. Like, they want to know the person. They don't want to know titles, roles, any of those things. So just speak from the heart of who you are, and essentially showing them how you align with what they want, right? Whether it's, I've always been fighting for women's rights, or I've always been interested in volunteering where it is affecting women and girls. And maybe, I know in my past, I did Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and specifically, I was mentoring a little girl who did not have, access to certain things. So just any of those things where, again, we always have to make sure that when we're communicating with a grantor, we are aligning ourselves with their mission, vision, values. What is your business organization idea? Whatever that is, we talked about the food deserts and doing community garden, but whatever your idea is, I will say I did not see word or character limit, but as I've always said, please be brief and to the point, because they're going to get hundreds of applicants. So you really need to be able to grab their attention immediately. What is the social benefit or impact does your business or organization have? With the food desert, community gardens, individuals are going to get access to healthy foods out of their backyard. And then the impact could be up to 50 families, right? Depending on how many people train each other throughout that program, whether I start off with 10 or 20, etc. And then if awarded the $500 grant, what would you do with these funds? We do not fund, as I said, merchandise, stock, advertising, or marketing. As I said, again, they want you to break it all the way down. That's not here, but it's in the terms. So I would tell them, as much as I can, line item by line item, like I'm going to buy seeds, I'm going to buy mulch, I'm going to create a menu, I'm going to train the ladies. So all of these things is what I'm going to have to put in there and let them know how I'm going to get up to this $500. And then include an itemized list of specific costs and expenses related to your idea for the grant, which is what we talked about. You need to have a budget. You cannot copy and paste an Excel in here, but you can do some bullet points. You can give like an average cost. Like, I'm not going to say I'm going to buy 100 packs of, or not 100. I'm not going to say I'm going to do 5 carrots and 6 tomatoes. I might say I'm going to do 100 seed packs that are averaging $2 or $3 a pack. So whatever that is, so they can get a general idea of where the funds will go. And then based on the idea, activities you're proposing, how many women, families, and communities will be impacted by the grant? You can provide an estimate at this time. And then they give an example, like if you do, it can fund 5 beehives, then the beehives will be used to train 20 women. So literally, they're trying to get that ripple effect. So it could be your impact could be 3 communities that are closely, I didn't lost my train of thought. They are closely aligned with each other, right? So I could say if I started off in Walnut Park, right? My community where I grew up. And then from Walnut Park, we can venture out to another community that is near Walmart. I said Walmart. Walnut Park. So those are the things. But if nothing else, depending on how large that community is, if you're able to serve an entire community, that would be amazing. But like I said, think about how can you have that ripple effect within the community and then go from there. And then why should we select you in your project? And I think in here, if you want to throw some data and statistics, because if I'm thinking about food deserts and if I'm thinking about individuals having community gardens, I would say, the number of food deserts in a 15-mile radius or 20-mile radius within Walnut Park or 50-mile, however far out I want to go. And then also on top of that, I would talk about not having access. How many grocery stores are nearby? How many grocery stores are a walking distance? How many grocery stores can you get to on public transportation? But then having that conversation, now how do I get my groceries back? Because if I do full on grocery shopping, I might be able to, push a cart around, but then how many groceries can I really get back if I'm taking public transportation? Or let's say I don't take public transportation and then I'm going to take a Lyft or Uber or something like that. What does that cost? So literally, I think data is going to be the most important as to why they're going to select you, depending on what your project is and what you're trying to do. And it could be, and this just popped in my head, like I know at a lot of senior citizens homes, individuals will do like knitting or they will go and visit them because they don't get a lot of visitors. So what does that look like? And you can say, by having these visitors and activities and contact with individuals outside of that community, it increases their health by 10% or 20%, because I know that type of data does exist. And then how did you hear about it? My YouTube channel, y'all. And then if there's anything else they should know about you and your business or organization or idea. And this is kind of like, if you feel like there's more that needs to be said, there is an asterisk, meaning that you got to put something here, even if you put not applicable, but at a minimum, I would do 1 to 2 impactful sentences. I would not take this space and write a paragraph, because then that would be questionable to myself as a grantor. I can't say specifically it would be for them, because what did you not communicate in all of these other opportunities for you to communicate essentially why your idea is a great idea and why we should select that idea? This should literally be, it's like, I'm going to say closing argument from the lawyer's perspective, but this should literally be buttoning up everything that you set up here. And that's it. And that's why I said this grant is super short, super easy, because like I said, it can be a project. It does not have to be this super grand idea for the $500. So if you got anything of value, like, share, comment, subscribe. I don't think I have any questions. I do not, because this one is so easy. So thank y'all. And if you want to see some of the other grants, you can join the Patreon, which will get you to the Discord. But I will see you all next time, and you enjoy your evening.